Rishos Gemara Dasra. We're continuing our shir and dishu b'halacha. Today we are on Kuf Tzadik Ches Amud Aleph near the bottom. We're in Siman Shin Mem Hey, and we are up to Sif Yud Beis in the Mechaber. Tonight's halacha is a bit on the complex side, so I'm not going to do Pirkei Avos. We're going to dive straight into the halacha. So, Sif Yud Beis. Mechaber says, Rishos Harabim Eina Teifeses Ela Ad Asara. Rishos Harabim only captures up to a height of 10 tfachim. We had said earlier that Rishos HaYachid is Oila Ad L'Rakia. Rishos HaYachid goes all the way up. So, theoretically, the Chavetz Chaim had said, if you took a 100-foot tall pole and you stuck it into the Rishos HaYachid, and the top surface of that pole is not daled al daled, doesn't matter. If you throw something onto the top of that pole from Rishos Harabim, it would be an Issa Daraisa. You transfer it from Rishos Harabim to Rishos HaYachid. Since the pole is in the Avir of Rishos HaYachid, and Rishos HaYachid is Oila Ad L'Rakia, that is a Rishos HaYachid. However, Rishos Harabim is not that way. Rishos Harabim is not Oila Ad L'Rakia. Rishos Harabim only grabs up to a height of 10 Tvachim. Avalamayla me'asara, over the height of 10 tfachim, have a makom p'tur, is a makom p'tur. Says the Chavetz Chaim, a nice cut in Mem Gimel, Ela ad asara, Valkain, therefore, Hazarek b'Rishos Harabim. We know that in Rishos Harabim there's an Issa Daraisa, you're not allowed to move something more than Dalet Amas, more than a distance of 4 Amas in Rishos Harabim. So what happens if somebody is in Rishos Harabim, and Hazarek b'Rishos Harabim, Develo Shmeina, he throws a nice juicy fig, and v'nidbak b'kaisel, and because it's all juicy and mushy, it sticks to the wall. So he throws it at a wall that's Dalet Amas away from him, and it sticks and adheres to the wall. So lamata me'asara, if it sticks to the wall lower than a height of 10 tefachim off the ground level of Rishos Harabim, chayiv, then he's going to be chayiv, because he moved this item, he moved this fruit more than Dalet Amas in the Rishos Harabim. Lamayla me'asara, but if he would throw it up at the wall and it would stick to the wall over a height of 10 tefachim off the ground, potter. Then he's potter because he didn't do anything. He didn't move it in Rishos Harabim. He moved it from the Rishos Harabim to a makom p'tur. So he did not move it 4 Amas in Rishos Harabim.
If someone was technically playing catch above 10 tefachim but didn't drop the ball,
right?
Didn't do anything wrong?
It's a makom p'tur. Yeah, over 10 tefachim is a makom p'tur. Now I don't know where the guy is standing. In other words, he's having a catch. That means 2 people are standing. If he's standing in Rishos Harabim, if the person is standing in Rishos Harabim, that gets a little bit complex, because a person standing in Rishos Harabim, even though he's catching a ball over 10 tefachim, that is he's considered according to Paiskim Rishos Harabim. So, but over here it's attached to a wall. It's hitting a wall. It's not a person catching it. Now they do speak over here about the fact that when you throw it to the wall and it sticks to the wall, you don't have a hanacha on a mokim daled al daled. Usually we say that the item has to come to rest on a surface that's a makom chashuv. So the surface has to be daled al daled. Over here it's stuck to the wall. So it's not landing on a surface that's daled al daled. So for that they have different reasons.
That's one more technical question. If you keep a key in a Rishos Harabim above
Okay.
10 Amos.
Above 10 Amas? Above 10 tefachim.
Sorry, then I thought it was something.
Right, so what's it on?
So, let's say it's on a hook outside your house somehow, or a hook
Okay.
on a pole outside your house.
It's on a makom p'tur.
And then you come home and you take this key and you unlock your door.
You took it off of a makom p'tur. It's not a problem.
So you put it into Rishos Harabim, then you go into Rishos HaYachid. You took it from makom p'tur, you're taking it down into Rishos Harabim, and then go into Rishos HaYachid.
So to go into the house, to take it off the makom p'tur into the Rishos Harabim, and then to take it from the Rishos Harabim into the Rishos HaYachid could be a problem.
Right.
But to take it off of the makom p'tur in Rishos Harabim, use it to unlock the door and hang it back up is not a problem.
Right, but if you move that door into the Rishos HaYachid.
Yeah, if you bring it into the Rishos HaYachid. If you bring it into the Rishos HaYachid, you can have a problem. Yeah. Have a mokum p'tur, ois mem daled. Have a mokum p'tur. Ritzayna loymar. Chavetz Chaim points out that what you see from this mechaber is da afilu shem Kərməlית ein chal al ha'avir shalamayla me'asara. It's not even a reshus d'Rabbanan. The airspace over 10 tfachim in Rishus Harabim is totally a mokum p'tur. The Chachamim did not even see fit to make it a Kərməlית. And therefore, since it's a mokum p'tur, you could move something from it into the Rishus Harabim, from the Rishus Harabim to it, not a problem.
I'm sorry, I want to go back to that case.
Yeah.
The door itself, if you was just to open the door, what is the door itself considered? You're already in the Rishus Hayachid,
Well, the door,
because it's really indented into the towards the house, most of the door.
let's think about this for a minute. The door, you're putting it into,
This case is just putting the key in, he said. People saying he's just putting the key in.
right, you put the key in, even if the door is recessed. The recessed area of the door is not daled al daled. So what is it? It's like but maybe it's like a chur, but it's not a chur rishus hayachid because it doesn't go through. So if anything, it would be chure rishus harabim, like we had before the holes. So let's say it's chure rishus harabim. If it's chure rishus harabim, so if it's lamaila, if it's lamata migimel, which it's not, lamata migimel is rishus harabim. Lamaila migimel, right? Lamaila miyud. It's not 40 inches. A keyhole is a keyhole from a door 40 inches, 12, 30. It is, right? Okay, so it's more than dalid.
I don't know if it's one down.
If it's rachav dalid, it would be rishus hayachid. If it's not, so what would it be? It would be, you have in rishus harabim, Lamaila miyud, but it's not daled al daled. It's not daled al daled. Isn't it a mokum p'tur? Isn't it a mokum p'tur? Right. One second. Just give me one second. Tisha b'chlal. Rachav arba l'arab kamal. Zid rachav arba l'arab mokum p'tur. Gavaya tisha tzvam tzam ram katfum rishus harabim. Right. We have Sarah Lamaila, and we're Rachav Arba Rishus Yachid, and we'll have a Makom Tur. So l'chayr it's a Makom Tur. L'chayr the keyhole is a Makom Tur. To swing the door in, you would have a problem. But to just
Still, if you take it from Malkum Patur, Rishus Hayachid, there's no problem.
what?
If it's all Malkum Patur into Rishus Hayachid,
But when you took it off the hook, let's say,
he said it was a Malkum.
now it's in a Rishus Harabim. You took it off a Makom P'tur, now it's in a Rishus Harabim. So to bring it into the Rishus Hayachid is a problem. But I'm thinking that to put it into the door is not a problem.
Just to put it in the door.
To put it in the door and unlock it and put it back. Right, I'm thinking that that's not a
Is
problem.
there a problem of picking something up off the ground and bringing it into a makom p'tur and then going with it?
No, you're Rishus Harabim to a Makom P'tur.
No, I'm talking about, let's say you're in a Rishus Harabim and you find an object on the floor, whatever.
Fine, so the object on the floor is in Rishus Harabim.
It's in a Rishus Harabim.
Now if you put it up and you put it on top of a fire hydrant.
No. If
So
I
you
put
put it from a Rishus Harabim onto a Makom P'tur.
Right.
That's fine.
But now let's use a practical case. Your kid doesn't want to walk somewhere. Can I take my kid, lift him up higher onto my shoulder, that's a makom p'tur, and now I can walk him home, put him down, and then he can walk into the house?
No, because you're not a Makom P'tur.
Oh, because I'm not.
You're not a Makom P'tur. You're not a Makom P'tur. The eitzah with the kid is always, that's going to be pachas midal ramas. It's going to be the eitzah with the kid. No, but you're not a Makom P'tur. Okay. So that's, we were in Mem Daled. But you should know, if you put a pole in the Rishus Harabim, and this pole is more than 10 tefachim tall, and on top of this pole, there's a box. And the box has, the walls of the box have a height of 10 tefachim, and the surface of the box is daled al daled. So that box would be a Rishus Hayachid. Says the Chavetz Chaim, you should just realize, Afal gav shetachteha Rishus Harabim. Even though under this box, right, is a Rishus Harabim, Mikamakam akeli hu rishus hayachid. The keli is going to be a rishus hayachid. Okay. Yud Gimel. Churim shebiksalim klape rishus harabim. Holes in the wall that where the openings face onto the rishus harabim, and they do not go all the way through into rishus hayachid. So you have a wall, and there's an opening to a hole in the wall that faces the rishus harabim. What's the din of those holes? Imhem gevayim lamala mishloisha. If they're higher than 3 tefachim off the ground of rishus harabim, einam kirishus harabim. So they do not have a din of the rishus harabim. If the opening of the hole and the surface in the interior of the hole is lower than 3 tefachim to the ground, so then it's bottled to the rishus harabim. It's rishus harabim. But if it's higher than 3 tefachim off the ground, einam kirishus harabim. Now it doesn't have a din of the rishus harabim. Ella nidainim lefimi daisehem. Rather, once it's higher than 3, so now you're going to have to judge it based on its measurements. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah is cut memhei. Klape rishus harabim. If the opening faces the rishus harabim, Ritzaner loymar, the Chaber means to point out over here, the einam oivrim klape pnim, that this hole does not go all the way through from the rishus hayachid to the rishus harabim. That's what we saw earlier. We saw earlier such a case. That was in Seif Daled on Kuf Tzadik Vav Amud Aleph. Over there we saw a case where the hole goes all the way through from the rishus harabim to the rishus hayachid. Over here it does not. It only opens from the rishus harabim and it doesn't go through. Because if it did go all the way through to the rishus hayachid, then dinam k'chayre rishus hayachid u'k'moshe kasa b'sif daled. Then the halacha would be that this is chure rishus hayachid, and we would have to follow the guidelines that we saw earlier in Sif Daled. Over here, it's lamayla mishloisha. The whole face is onto rishus harabim, but it's higher than 3 tefachim off the ground. The lamata mishloisha, if it would be less than 3 tefachim off the ground, afiluhem rechavim arba al arba. Even if the interior surface would be 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim, doesn't matter. Nechshavim kekarka rishus harabim. It would be bottled to the karka of rishus harabim, and it would have a din of rishus harabim. The chanal b'reish Sif Yud. That's what we saw at the beginning of Sif Yud. But if it's higher than 3 tefachim off the ground, then the Mechaber said you have to judge it lefi midaisehem, based on its measurement. And the Mishnah Berurah says, Bi'arti le'el b'sif katan yud aleph ayin sham. I explained earlier in Sif Daled, in Mishnah Berurah, ois katan yud aleph, what the halacha is, and the halacha is as follows. If the hole is more than 10 tefachim off the ground, facing the rishus harabim, and inside it has a surface area of daled al daled, so then it's a rishus hayachid, because it's a surface which is more than 10 tefachim off the ground, and it's daled al daled, so then it's a rishus hayachid. If it's less than 10 tefachim off the ground, so then it depends. If it's daled al daled, then it has a din of a kərmelית. If it's not daled al daled, so then it's a makom p'tur. I don't think so, because over here you can't be mekatef of it. It's a hole in the wall. You can't be mekatef. You can't rest something on a hole. You can't rest a load. I mean, if you're telling me that, if you have a big opening so that you can get the edge of the pack on the thing, so then you're right. So then the din would be if the Rabbim is mekatfim alav. But remember, it has to be that the Rabbim uses it. If the Rabbim is mekatfim alav, so then you'll have the machlokes. You'll have the shita that exactly 9, and then you'll have the shita 9 to 10, if Rabbim is taka mekatfim alav. Now comes the complicated sif. Sif Yodalid. Ezehu Kərmelית. And like I always say, where do you have complications? You have complications when you have derabbanans. And a Kərmelית is a rishus derabbanan. So here we go. Ezehu Kərmelית. What constitutes a Kərmelית? So the Mechaber says, the first thing we have to know about a Kərmelית is, it's a makayim she'ein hiluch l'Rabbim. It's a place where the Rabbim does not use it. The Rabbim does not travel in this area. Okay. Kigoyin, for example, yam, like the ocean or a river. It's not made l'hiluch harabim. Now you'll ask me, what do you mean? There's cruise ships, going back and forth through the shipping lanes. So yeah, the Rishonim talk about that, and the Rishonim say that does not make the yam a makom of hiluch harabim. The yam is inherently not a Mokum Hilach Harabim. It happens to be that humans devised boats that can transport them safely on the ocean. But just to ask the people on the Titanic, the ocean is not made Hilach Harabim. Same way 30,000 feet in the sky is not a Mokum that's made Hilach Harabim, even though it blew my mind because my son was flying to Eretz Yisrael last night and I used FlightAware on the web to watch his flight path across the ocean. And they have a cute little toggle switch where you could show on the map all of the planes that are in the air. And when I hit that switch and I saw the amount of planes that were traversing the Atlantic, I almost flipped. I couldn't believe it. It's crowded up there. It's not empty. It's crowded up there. But still, it's not a mokum that's made Hilach Harabim. You can't call that made Hilach Harabim. So that's one svara that they say. There are other svaras that they say as well about the Yam, but I think that's the most predominant one. So Isaiah Kamalis to Bechar said, Mokum Shehin Hilach Harabim. It's an area that's not made Hilach Harabim. Kigon Yam, for instance, the ocean, rivers, large lakes, ubika, or literally a bik is a plain or a valley. What it means is, it means a wide open area that is fields. This is an agricultural area. So you have fields owned by lots of different people, and it could be a vast area. So size requirements, it's much bigger than a regular Rosh Hashanah. It's much bigger than 16 Amos. And it has no mechitzas. There's no walls, no anything. But still, it's not made Hilach Harabim. So you don't call it a Rosh Hashanah. It's not a Rosh Hashanah. So the Chachamim made it a Carmelis. V'itz devanis, v'itz taba. Also an itz devanis and an itz taba. What is an itz devanis and an itz taba? So in the times of the Mishnah and the times of the Gemara, it seems that the way the Rosh Hashanah was constructed and the way they had their shops and their stands were, they had a Rosh Hashanah. So let's say the Rosh Hashanah is 16 amos wide. That's predominantly where everybody is walking. On the side of the Rosh Hashanah, what the Chazal called Tzidei Rosh Hashanah, alongside the Rosh Hashanah, that's where you had your shopkeepers. Now your shopkeepers, the way they set up their wares, they didn't do like 13th Avenue. They hooked their wares outside the shops. They didn't wait for people to come into the shops. Now to hook their wares outside the shops, they had a combination of platforms. They had posts. They had pillars. And this really, if you think about the Greeks, a colonnade. A colonnade was an area that had lots of columns. Sometimes it was even roofed over on the side. But they would hang their wares, something that was long that had to be hung, they would hang them from these poles, from these amudim. They would also have raised platforms that they would put their stuff on so that people could see it. And they would also have a lower raised platform that they would either stand or sit on. So you had, on the side of the Rosh Hashanah, you had this combination of kind of raised benches, raised platforms, and amudim, and pillars. So the Mechaber says, it's devanis v'itz tava. Pirish, it's tavanis. What's it, it's tavanis? Makayim shelefnei chanuyos. This is in front of the shops. So again, you had the Rosh Hashanah in the middle, then you had the posts and the platforms and the benches, and behind that, that's where the buildings were, that's where the interiors of the shops were. So the Yitztavanis is a makayim shelefnei chanuyos. It's in front of the shop. Sheyoshvim shama soicharim. This is the bench that the merchant would sit on. The itztava, what's an itztava? Hu makayim shemanichim alav prakmatia. That's the raised platform that they would actually put their pots and pans on. Shelefnei ha'amudim. This itztavanis and this itztava were in front of the pillars that they would hang their stuff on. Rosh Hashanah in the Rosh Hashanah. So if we read it all together, what's a Carmelis? It's a makom that's not a hilach l'rabim, like an ocean or a river or a lake, or a plain where you have your fields, or the itztavanis and the itztaba shelefnei ha'amudim, the benches and the platforms that are in front of the pillars, b'Rosh Hashanah in the Rosh Hashanah. V'hi rechava arba, if these benches and these platforms are daled al daled, they do have a surface of dalet tvachim al dalet tvachim, v'gavoya mishloisha, and they're raised more than 3 tvachim off the ground, so they're not bottled to the ground, v'ad asara, and they go up to a height of 10 tvachim. Over 10 tvachim there would be rishus hayachid if they were dalet al dalet. So these surfaces are all carmelous. So again, just to wrap it up over here, it's a makom that's not a hiluch l'rabim. For instance, the waterways, or the valleys and plains where the fields are, or in this Rishus Harabim, the raised benches and the raised platforms that the merchants sit on or put their wares on, if they're more than 3 tefachim off the Rishus Harabim, so they're not bottled to karka Rishus Harabim. They're less than 10 tefachim off the ground, so they're not a Rishus Hayachid, and they have a surface of a dalet al dalet. All of those areas are carmelous. Now, if it's a carmelous, it's a Rishus D'Rabbanan. What's the din of a carmelous? Well, you can't transfer from the carmelous to the Rishus Harabim, or from the Rishus Harabim to the carmelous, or from the carmelous to the Rishus Hayachid, or from the Rishus Hayachid to the carmelous. The carmelous is a Rishus La'atzmai Midrabanan. From carmelous to a carmelous you can, but it gets complex. It gets a little bit complex. It depends on the situation. The general rule, I would say yes. Modern day, we're going to start getting, let's wait a little bit for that, because modern day, first of all, what Rishus Harabim? Do we really have a Rishus Harabim? So if it's not a Rishus Harabim, it's automatically a carmelous. So now, let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Ice cotton yodalad, kigan yam, like the ocean, v'huadin nahar, or a river. Now, the Chavetz Chaim is going to bavar in a problem right away here. And that is, we said earlier, that if you have a pit that's more than 10 tefachim deep, and it has a surface of dalet al dalet, the interior of that pit is a rishus hayachid, right? You have mechitzas that are 10 tefachim tall, and you have a surface of dalet al dalet. We said if you fill the pit up, so if you fill it up with produce, so now the mechitzas are not nicker. Since the mechitzas are not nicker, it's mevatel the mechitzas, and the inside is not a rishus hayachid. If you fill it up with water, so then we said, well, if you fill it up with water, you could see the mechitzas. It's minkara mechitzai seha, and therefore it's still a rishus hayachid. So the Chavetz Chaim wants to know, and he's not saying this on his own, he's coming from the Magen Avram and from others. He wants to know, well, wait a second, why isn't the ocean a rishus hayachid? The ocean is certainly more than 10 tefachim deep. It certainly has a surface at the bottom of dalet al dalet. So it's a big hole that's malei mayim. What? Yeah, but that's a din in Rishus Harabim. If it's not a Mokum Hiluch Harabim, it's not a Rishus Harabim. But we're not trying to make it a Rishus Harabim. We're trying to make it a Rishus Hayachid. Why isn't the ocean a Rishus Hayachid? Should be a Rishus Hayachid. That's what the Chavetz Chaim in this beginning of this Mishnah Berurah is coming to Bavarn. So here's what he says. Even though water is not mevatel the mechitzas of a hole, like we said earlier in Sif Yud Aleph, so l'chayra, the ocean or the river should be a rishus hayachid. Yesh loymar, you could say, the kol charitz, any hole, she'enoi meshupa, not a hole really, a depression, she'enoi meshupa, which is not so steeply sloped down, kidei sheyislaket goiva asar tvachim, so that you reach a depth of 10 tefachim, mitoich arba amos, within a distance of 4 amos. So anytime this depression is not so steep, where at the banks it goes down in a shallow slope, and you don't reach a depth of 10 tefachim within linear distance of 4 amos, lo yavi rishus hayachid. So that's not a rishus hayachid, because the bank is not considered a vertical mechitza. You don't have a mechitza of 10 tefachim. And it's common that when you go to the beach, when you go to the bank of the river or the bank of the ocean, it doesn't go down on such a steep slope. And therefore, that's why the ocean is not a rishus hayachid, because at the edges of the ocean, at the edges of the river, you don't have 10 tefachim deep within dalet amos linear, so you don't have a mokum that's mukaf mechitzas of 10 tefachim tall. Kain kasev a Magen Avram. This is what the Magen Avram says. What? Well, further out in the ocean, again, what you would need is, you would need suddenly a steep drop-off. That's what you would need. So if you suddenly had a steep drop-off and that went down within Daled, and you would have to have it all the way around. You'd have to have it on four sides in order to create a Rishus HaYachid. But I understand what's bothering you. And we also do have areas where it is that way. I mean, you go to the Belt Parkway and you look at the bay over there, right, where they built it up. So now it's a steep drop-off. It's not a natural beach. It is a steep drop-off. So you definitely do have areas where there is a steep drop-off. And I don't know that you don't have all the way around on four sides a steep drop-off. So the Mishnah Berurah goes weiter, and he says another svara. Uba me'iri niskar tam. The me'iri says a different tam. He says, Mishum daham rechitzais rechoikais zu mizu ma'oid. It's true. Yeah, you look at the Mediterranean, and you have four sides of the Mediterranean, and yeah, the Mediterranean is more than 10 tefachim deep. Or the Atlantic Ocean, certainly, it's more than 10 tefachim deep. It's daled al daled, and theoretically you have mechitzas on four sides. But how far apart are those mechitzas? Those mechitzas are thousands of miles away. So the Meiri says the mechitzas are rechoikoi zumi zuma oid einan mitztarfes lasis masha b'neim rishus hayachid. You can't tell me that those mechitzas isolate this area as a rishus hayachid. No way. And according to the Meiri, even if the banks taka are deep, it's still not a rishus hayachid mitam zeh. Now, if you look in the Meiri is basing himself on a Ritva, and I think that Ritva is basing himself on a Rambam, and where they're coming from is that the only time mechitzos isolate an area as a rishus hayachid is when if somebody is standing in that rishus hayachid, he recognizes that he's surrounded by walls. He knows that he's surrounded by walls. So even in a city, it doesn't mean that you have to see the walls. When you're in Yerushalayim, you know you're in a walled city. I know I'm in a walled city. When you're in the Yam, you don't recognize that you're in a walled area. I'm not a walled area. I mean, I can't see the mechitzas. The mechitzas are 1,000 miles away from me. Nobody talks about the mechitzas. Oh, the walls of the Atlantic. There's no walls of the Atlantic. So Mamela, it doesn't isolate the area as a rishus hayachid, and it has no din of rishus hayachid. That's as far as the oceans. Now in the brackets, v'nahar. How about a river? I mean, I know the Raritan River. I used to live in Edison. The Raritan River. Two banks you could see right across. So it's not rechoikoi zuma zuma oid. So two mechitzas you have right there. But still, kevon the idach hashnayim heim rechoikoi zuma zu kama parsois. Maybe the east and west banks you could see right across. But then the north and south banks, who knows? I mean, the Hudson River, how long does it flow? So the other two banks are going to be rechoikoi zuma zuma oid. So einon mitzarf Yisrael hashtayim. They don't join the other two banks to create a rishus hayachid. Va'afilu l'divrei HaMagen Avram, and you should know that even according to the Magen Avram, who holds that if the bank of the river or the banks of the oceans would be a steep drop-off, it would make the ocean or the river a rishus hayachid, you should still know that even according to the Magen Avram, midirabonon karmelis heavy b'chol inyan, it still would have a din derabonon of a karmelis. It still would be a karmelis lechumra. You wouldn't be allowed to be metaltal daled amis. You wouldn't be allowed to transfer from it to another rishus hayachid or to a rishus harabim, because midrabanan lechumra, its zikr would have a din of a karmelis. Why? So if you look at the Magen Avram says because this would be known as what we call a karpef. What's a karpef? A karpef is an area that's bigger than a base sasayim. So it's more than 5,000 square amas. I think it's approximately 12,000 square feet. And it's not mukaf ledira. It's not surrounded, even if it's surrounded by mechitzas, but it's not mukaf ledira. It's not mukaf mechitzas for private personal use. The ocean certainly is not. So such an area is a karmelis. Like you could see over there at the end of the Magen Avram's words. Okay. Now we get to another complicated few lines here in the Mishnah Berurah that I'm still struggling a little bit with the next few lines of the Mishnah Berurah. If you remember, we said earlier, in Sif Yod Aleph, a guma b'Rishus Harabim. You have a hole in the Rishus Harabim. So we said that the din of a hole in Rishus Harabim is what? If it's less than 3 tvachim, it's Rishus Harabim. If it's 3 tvachim to 10 tvachim, so it's a makom p'tur. If it's less than dalad dalad, for sure it's a makom p'tur, right? If it's not 3, it's a Rishus Harabim. From 3 to 10, if it's 4 by 4, it's a Kamalis. If it's less than 4 by 4, it's a makom p'tur. That's what we said about a hole in the Rishus Harabim. Now, says the Mishnah Berurah like this. V'emahoya rikak mayim. And I need I'm looking to you guys for help in a certain way. I need you to put on your practical eyes and think about this in a practical sense and help me out here. Emahoya rikak mayim b'Rishus Harabim. A rikak mayim is a shallow pool of muddy water. For instance, in Bereshis it says, by Sheshis Yimei Bereshis, it says that oifos, the birds, were nivra merikak. They were made out of a rakak. What's a rakak? A mixture of mayim and adama. It was made out of mud. Whereas it says it in Rashi, in Bereshis, because Rashi has a problem by the oifos. He has a steer in the psukim. By one it says they were made from the mayim, and by one it says it was made from the adama. So how does he balance it? He says min rakak. So what is min rakak? Mud. So a rakak mayim over here is a shallow pool of muddy water. If there was a muddy pool of water in the Rishus Harabim, or Rishus Harabim mahaleches by, and the Rishus Harabim moves through this rakak hamayim. So you have a Rishus Harabim, and the Rishus Harabim passes through this shallow pool of muddy water. Im eina muka asar tvachim. If this muddy pool is not 10 tvachim deep, so let's say for argument's sake, it's 9 tvachim deep. And let's say a tefach is 4 inches. So 9 times 4 is 36. So you have a 36-inch deep, 3 feet, a 36-inch deep pool of muddy water. Even if it is not dalid al dalid. So let's say across, okay, it's not dalid, so it's not 16 inches. So let's say it's 10 inches across, or even a foot. We'll make it round feet. So you've got a ditch, essentially. You've got a ditch that's a foot across, 3 feet deep, and it's full of muddy water. Now, let's stop here for a second. Let's say that this hole was not full of muddy water. Let's say this hole was empty. What would be the din of this hole? What? No, it's more than gimel. It's more than 3 tefachim deep. What? It's a makom p'tur. It's between 3 and 10 deep, and it's not daled al daled. So it's a makom p'tur. If it's empty, it's a makom p'tur. Says the Mishnah Berurah, and this is not his own, the Mishnah Berurah says this, but this is a beferish Mishnah in Shabbos. Im eina muka asar tvachim. If it's not 10 tvachim deep, even though it's not daled al daled, and since it's not daled al daled, since it's only a foot across, most people just step over it. They don't walk into it. They don't walk through it. They just step over it. Heavy Rishus Harabim. It's a Rishus Harabim. It's not a makom p'tur. What he's coming to Bavarin over here is that it's not a Kərməlית. You might think that it's a Kərməlית. Why would you think that it's a Kərməlית? You might think that it's a Kərməlית because you might say, Rishus Harabim? It's not a Rishus Harabim. The Rabbim doesn't step in it. What? Let's go back to the hole. What's the din of the hole? The hole is not a Rishus Harabim. The hole is nafki mi Rishus Harabim. It's taken out of the Rishus Harabim because it's more than 3 tefachim deep, and it's not a makom hiluch harabim. The Rabbim doesn't walk in it. It's not, and we said earlier, even if the Rabbim uses it al yidei atchak, that's called a tashmish al yidei atchak. And if you look at the Gemara, it's not talking about that the Rabbim walks in it, because nobody's going to walk in it. It means even if people use it to store something in, that's tashmish al yidei atchak. It's not Rishus Harabim. So it's nafki mi Rishus Harabim. But what are you going to make it? You can't make it a Rishus Yachid. It's not big enough. You can't make it a Kamalis. It's not Daled al Daled. So what is it? It's a Makom Torah. That's when it's a hole. Now it's not a hole. Now it's full of muddy water. Since it's full of muddy water, somehow it retains a Rishus Harabim. So if it's muddy water, where that helps us is that it's not minkara mechitzai seha. If it's not clear water, so then it's mevatel the mechitzas maybe. It's like the hole that's full of produce, right? It's mevatel the mechitzas, and that is a help. Why maybe it's Rishus Harabim. L'chayri, it should still be mevatel. L'chayri, it should still be mevatel mechitzas. Even if it's 4x4, it should be mevatel mechitzas. But if it's 4x4, then the Rabbim can't jump over it.
So that's the thing. That's the whole idea here. The whole idea is that nobody's going to step in it. So therefore, it can't be a shoes, what do you call it, a Kərməlית, because nobody goes in there. It can't be anything. Since people jump over it, they don't use it. So therefore, it's not a Kərməlית, it's not a shoes yachid.
So why is it in a Makom Torah?
What?
So why is it in a Makom Torah? If it was an empty hole, it would be a Makom Torah. Why is it in a Makom Torah?
It can't be a Makom Torah.
Why not?
Because it's deep, more than how do you call it?
No. If it would be empty, it would be a Makom Torah. If it would be empty, it would be a Makom Torah. It's between 3 and 10, and it's not Daled al Daled. So if it was empty, it would be a Makom Torah. So
maybe you still have to get into it. Whatever it is, you have to walk into it. The only thing that you don't have to walk into if it remains Rishus Harabim. You jump over it, it's like walking over it.
What were you going to say?
So, no, there has to be a chiddush also with the water. It's not just...
So it's right. So the fact that it's full, yeah. So I'm thinking that if it was regular water, it would be a Makom Torah.
Even if you can't walk over it?
Well, you can. It's less than Daled al Daled. You're walking over it.
So you're saying the muddy water, which is less than Daled al Daled, because it's muddy, that's the reason.
So it's not minkara mechitzai seha. You can't see the mechitzas. You walk over it.
It's a puddle of water. A cup is a puddle.
No, it's muddy.
It's a puddle of water.
It's with mud. It's muddy water. That's what a rekak is.
That goes without saying that it's a little bit, how do you call it? It's in the sand, so it's a little bit.
So then that would be a guma malimayim. That would be a guma malimayim.
Something that you can drink.
No, but that's a guma malimayim. This is not a guma malimayim. This is a rekak. It's not a guma malimayim. So I think that because it's full, we can't make it a Makom Torah. I think it can't. The fact that it's full makes it less a Rishus La'atzmai. If it would be empty, so we can make it. So it's nafki Rishus Harabim because the Rabbim can't walk in it. It can't be a Kərməlית because it's not big enough. It can't be a Rishus Yachid. It's not big enough. What is it? It's a Makom Torah. If it's full of muddy water, you can't make it a Rishus La'atzmai. It's not. There's no space there. You can't make it a Rishus La'atzmai. So what are you going to make it? I think, and you can't make it a Kərməlית either. It's not a Kərməlית.
What does it mean there's no space there? You can walk in there. You get all money.
Yeah, but it's not an empty space. It's not a space. It's not an empty space. That's the only way I'm telling you, I spent literally 2 hours today on these lines. And I called my son in Cleveland, who spent who knows how long on the sugyas of Haitzah, and I went through with him. He found a stipler. There's a stipler that talks about it, but the stipler is clearly being chaylik on the Chavetz Chaim. So that's the only way I can learn it. I don't have another way to learn it. So and the Chavetz Chaim says also, if there was a board placed over it, that's certainly Rishus Harabim. From Rashi on Daf Kuf, it sounds like maybe it's not a Rishus Harabim, unless they walk into it. And if it's not a Rishus Harabim, what is it? I guess a Makom Torah. But if it is 10 deep, and it's 4x4, heavy Kərmelyt. You see, it's not a Rishus HaYachid. Even though it's 10 deep and it's 4x4, it's not a Rishus HaYachid. What is it? It's a Kərmelyt. Kamayam. Because then it becomes like the ocean. It's a Kərmelyt. Vayin b'pri megadim the mistapik loymar the rak l'chumra v'ke Kərmelyt. Maybe this means only l'chumra that it's a Kərmelyt. Shalom lahitzi b'takal Rishus HaYachid aval min ha'Torah Rishus HaYachid. Maybe midaraisa it would taka be a Rishus HaYachid. All right, we're going to have to stop over here. We fell a little bit behind tonight, but hopefully we'll make it up. Okay.